All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take some time and we are going to cover the newly released Gen 2 Tethrd One Sticks. We are going to break this stick down, covering all of the features, and I'm going to be doing that by comparing them side by side to last year's or the Gen 1 Tethrd One Stick. And so we'll see the pros and the cons and be able to go back and forth and see how they have truly updated the Gen 2 Tethrd One Stick. And then, of course, at the end, I will give you the reasons why I personally feel like the Gen 2 Tethrd One Stick is the stick to beat in 2022. Now, at the outset of this video, let me say this. I am adding chapters to this video so that if you don't want to have to watch the whole thing, you can just scroll through. And for example, if you want to see the information on the Dynaloc Tab, just stop there and then you can play that. If you want to see the information on replacing the stacking pins and all three of the stacking pins side by side, then just scroll to that. And I did that for your ease of use so you don't have to watch the whole video if you don't want to. But having said that, let's get at it. So all of last year, I was essentially one stick climbing, or I was using these Tethrd One Sticks. Now, when I was one stick climbing, I was using the Shakar Mini Mod stick. I have several videos on my channel that's dedicated to that modified Shakar Mini stick. At the end of the season, I did a post-season review, and then I got a 14-inch post. And the only reason I did that was so that I could fold my steps down so that everything would be in a straight line like you see here. This weighs 2.2 pounds, I think it is, and I have a 3-step aider for it. But if I'm one stick climbing, that is what I use. If I'm using climbing sticks, these are what I have chosen to utilize. And so last year when I got these, I actually had to sell my B sticks so that I could get these sticks. And I knew I was taking a gamble. These weren't tried and proven. And after I did a complete review on my channel, that video is called Tethrd One Sticks Next Level Sticks. I concluded this, that the Tethrd One Sticks are in fact next level sticks. And at the conclusion of the video, I said, are they perfect? No, but they're still next level. And there was many reasons why I felt like they were next level. When Tethrd brought these out, they were the most feature-packed stick that was on the market, from Dynaloc Tab to glow tabs to stacking pins to titanium to a standoff slash step system that's all one piece versus two separate pieces. And I like that. And I pointed out reasons why I like that. And so there was just a lot to like about the Tethrd One Sticks, not to mention they were literally 1 pound. There wasn't a stick on the market that could compete with that. And so for me, I thought they were next level. Also, everybody has utilized aluminum. Ever since Dan Infalt pushed the boundaries and brought out the B sticks and really started pushing the lightweight reduction holes and stuff like that. Then we saw Dano, he did the weight reduction slots in his Featherlight series sticks. All of that's great, but I feel like we have reached a threshold of how light we can get a stick that is made of all aluminum. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody will come out and prove me wrong, and that is perfectly okay because they're pushing the boundaries. But up until this point in time, I think we have reached that threshold of 1.5 pounds, 1.7 pounds. But Tethrd was the first company to utilize titanium, which is stronger and lighter than aluminum, and the results were great. They have a stick that is literally 1 pound. And so for all of those reasons, I considered the Tethrd One Stick next level. Again, are they perfect? No, but they were next level. And so I was pretty excited to see some of the updates that they made with the Gen 2 Tethrd One Sticks, because there were some things that they have taken care of that I think were big, and they are still maintaining that 1 pound mark, just a tad over 1 pound each stick. So what I want to do in this video is I want to go over each of the features that they have changed from the Gen 2 versus the previous Gen 1 stick. We'll go side by side and kind of highlight these features and show you some up close and personal videos of them so that maybe you get a better view of them, and then we will conclude this review. The first feature I will cover, and perhaps one of my favorite features, is this new rope containment button. When you purchased the Gen 1 One Sticks last year, they came with 9 foot of Amsteel, but there was nothing that was factory provided where you could contain your rope. So you had literally, if you had 3 sticks, 27 feet of Amsteel that was just hanging off of your sticks. There were several ways that you could kind of remedy that problem. You could stack the sticks, leaving your ropes hang off to the side, and then when they were all stacked, you could go end over end like that. But then, you know, that provided a problem when you got to the tree. Now you have to uncoil all of that rope, and you have 27 feet of rope altogether hanging off the side of your waist as you're climbing the tree. So that really wasn't optimal. I tried utilizing a Night Eyes gear tie. That worked, but again, wasn't optimal. The best thing that I found was this guy right here. This is the Genesis 3D printing rope tamer, and essentially what you do with this is you would just pop it on to your stick, and then you would just simply coil up the rope like so. I won't do it all for the sake of time. Once the rope was coiled, you'd wrap that bungee cord around, and then as you could see, it would contain your rope right here to the side of your stick. That's what I ended up using last year. And then when they released the Gen 2 stick, I thought to myself, how genius is that? A button that is added right to the bottom of the step. And so now all you have to do when you pull your sticks off the tree is simply go end over end, down around the rope containment button, up over the Dynaloc tab. I think you go around 3 times. On your third time up, you just come down and you cinch it right in the groove of the Dynaloc tab. I just thought to myself, what a small feature, but yet it goes a long way as far as containing your ropes. Again, super easy, as you can see here, and you're done, and it still stacks really nicely. Now, I just released a video on my channel on how to add a rope containment button to your Gen 1 Tethrd One Sticks under $3. Less than a half a pound. You can go ahead and do your own rope containment button, as you see here on these sticks right here. And so if you're interested in that, just go check that out in my video playlist. But that was the first feature and one of my favorite features. The second feature, and again, a feature that's probably at the top of my favorite list of the things that they have done for the newer Tethrd One Stick, is they have updated their stacking pins. Now, when you purchased the One Stick last year, they originally came with black stacking pins that looked like this right here. And as you can see, they were almost the same size. The top stacking pin had a rubber O-ring, and it was just slightly shorter than the bottom stacking pin. I really liked the idea of having stacking pins, a way that you could stack all your sticks together. And for example, with my B sticks, I'd have to wrap a bungee cord around it, cinch it tight so that it didn't clang together and make noise. With these stacking pins, that essentially eliminated the potential of noise, but also stacked them together very nicely. The problem with these black stacking pins were they were garbage. You didn't even have to hit them hard and they would break off. I could probably break them right here with my hands if I wanted to, but again, and Tethrd and even some of their staff came out and said they were garbage. Immediately, they sent out, with everybody they shipped the One Sticks to, they sent out an updated stacking pin set. That looked like these guys right here. They were orange, and they did 2 things different with these stacking pins. First, you can see that the top stacking pin is now only about just over a half the length of the bottom stacking pin. That made it much easier to go ahead and put the stacking pins on the bottom where they need to be and just fold the stick up and seat it. So that helped with that. And then the plastic that they used was much more durable. I used these all year and I did not have a problem with one of them breaking. And so they did improve the orange stacking pins. But again, for me, one of the problems that they had with the orange stacking pins were the rubber O-ring that they used on the top. They would dry rot and break, and so now they become useless. And so on the third variation of these stacking pins, the ones that they came out with the Skeletors and now also the One Sticks, they have switched and they went to a rubberized stacking pin material. And I really like this because it's very flexible. You can see I can bend it any which way, and it just comes back to its normal position. They are easy to install. I'll show you that here in just a moment. But the things, again, that I really like about the new stacking pin is The top stacking pin, again, is about half the distance of the bottom stacking pin, which you'll see right here. I can just take the sticks, you set the 2 stacking pins in the bottom, pull it up, and then try with my hand here, you just simply push those in like so. So let me do that again. All you got to do is simply take those 2 stacking pins, put them in the bottom, and then push, and you're in like that. Just having that height variation between the top and the bottom is a big deal. But another thing that I will point out about the benefits of a rubberized stacking pin in is, and you wouldn't know this unless you have gone through the hard plastic variations, but I have found that because there's a little bit of give in this, that you can seat the bottom stacking pins into the hole, just barely get them in there. And because there's some flexibility, if you need to, you can twist your stick, push, pry, whatever you have to do. And because there's some flexibility, it helps you just to line that up. So even if it's not completely where it needs to be, or you're twisting something or whatnot, you can still push it down in there, and that flex will help it to align itself. And so I found that that extra additional flex kind of helps you with getting it seated and aligned in the first place. Also, you will notice, because the material is rubberized, that there is no need for an O-ring. And so that's a big deal, because again, every one of my O-rings on the second variation have already broken. And so you don't have to worry about, you know, any O-rings dry rotting or anything. And one thing I really like is I was just messing around trying to test for different things. And I think I was trying to figure out if there was step wobble, and I totally forgot about these being on the bottom of the step. So I set this on the ground, not even thinking about it, and I stepped on it because I was going to try to wiggle this step, the top step, and I realized that something didn't feel right. I looked down and I pulled it up, and I had basically squashed these stacking pins all the way up when I stepped on it, but they just came back to where they were. They didn't break on that, and if they didn't break on me just stepping on them and squashing them, I'm not sure they're going to break. I really feel like they have perfected the stacking pins. When you lock these things in, like, that is not coming off. There is no noise. Any noise you hear, it might be your ropes hitting the post. With my beast sticks, and with the majority of the sticks on the market, you have to use some type of ratchet strap, some type of bungee strap. And even still, if you hit it really hard, that will shift some. With these stacking pins, I mean, that's gold. I like that. I like that. Also, I'll point out that you can get these stacking pins for your Gen 1 stick. I went ahead and I bought 3 sets of additional stacking pins. I'm not sure if I'll ever have to use them. Who knows? But if I do, they're here. These are like 99 cents, I believe. And so you can get these for your Gen 1, or just get backup for your Gen 2. They're 99 cents each, so $3. Now, I will point out, when I ordered them from my Gen 1, shipping was like $4 or $5. I went and I ordered these for my Gen 2, and the shipping came up to $18. And I'm like, there ain't no way I'm doing that. And so I actually reached out to Tethrd, and there was some type of glitch in their system. So if you go to order stacking pins and your shipping seems a little bit high, I would just reach out to them personally and ask them to update that. So something else to consider is, if you do not want to utilize these stacking pins, then it basically sets you back to where the majority of the sticks are, sticks without stacking pins. So if you don't want to utilize the stacking pins, take them out, simply stack your sticks right on top of each other. They kind of seat with these Dynaloc tabs. Get yourself a night-eyes gear tie, wrap them around, get yourself a bungee cord, and do what you do with all of the other sticks. I want to show you real quick just how easy it is to replace a stacking pin. Basically a 5/64 Allen wrench. Simply, I'm going to go ahead and separate these quick. Simply take this Allen wrench right here. Up at the top, you will just simply unscrew this little screw, which basically threads right down into the top of this rubberized stacking pin, which then wedges it inside of this hole. You pull that out, and as you can see, just like that, I have removed the stacking pin, and then I could replace it with a new one, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to try to utilize the same one I just pulled out, but I'm going to bring the camera up and give you a close-up of how I just did that. To reinstall the StickLoc pin, all you have to do is utilize the provided hole in the top of the pin, and then also the provided screw simply take the StickLoc pin, slide it up through the step, and then you take the screw and you thread it down through the top of that hole. And when I use the Allen wrench, I like to keep pressure on the StickLoc pin, because as you're pushing with the Allen wrench, there's a tendency to push that StickLoc pin off of the bottom of the step. See if I can get that in there for you. And it takes, I don't know, 6 to 8 turns, and it is secure on there. So do one more, cinch that down like so. That is how you reinstall the StickLoc pins. 2 additional updates that they have made for the Gen 2 stick is, one, they've updated the diameter of the rope that they're using. This is the rope that came with the Gen 1 stick, and as you can see as I hold these up there, that there is definitely a difference in the diameter. And the reason they updated that was, even though there was nothing wrong with this or unsafe about the first rope, is it was just a lot more difficult to seat that into the grooves of the Dynaloc Tab. And you can see that it doesn't like to seat into it, and it doesn't like to stay. And so they have updated the diameter. These ropes that you see right here on the first generation stick is ones I got from Sam, the Amsteel guy. This is 7/64 Amsteel, and it just seats in there really, really nicely. I've had no problems with that diameter. And so I think with this update, guys aren't going to feel the need to run out and get, updated material, because this fits into the groove very, very nicely. Now the ropes come basically with this continuous loop that you slide over the Dynaloc Tab, but as you can see here, that rope can move around, and it could have the potential to fall off. What I have done is I've simply taken this loop and I've made a girth hitch, and I basically girth hitched, the rope to the Dynaloc Tab. As you can see right here, I just kind of made my own girth hitch, and I'll put that loop up at the top, and then I'll just pull it down and seat it. Now, one thing to consider is, when I get to the tree, I always take the rope and I feed it around the left side of the tree. I grab it with my right arm, and then I'll run the rope through the Dynaloc Tab. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, if you always pass the rope with your right hand, just make sure when you girth hitch that it comes off of the right side of the stick. You don't want to wrap around the left side of the tree and have that girth hitch, or have the rope over here and then you're coming around the tab. So for me, I just simply make a girth hitch. It comes off of the left side of the stick, where I wrap it around the tree from the left, come around to the right. And so that's helped as well. The second thing that they have done is they have updated the surface area of their glow tabs. Now, this is what the Gen 1 looked like. You can see that basically they have just pinched a little bit of the glow tabs over the step itself, and it just rested in between, that step distance. But now the new ones, they have more surface area, which gathers more light. Now, I have taken these sticks from my kitchen here, and I've walked back to my bedroom. I shut the closet door, and this is the results of just that amount of light hitting these glow tabs, how much light it collects. You can see here the performance of these glow tabs in the dark. Again, these are just 2 little updates that just make it even better. The better diameter rope, and then of course additional length in the glow tabs. One of the downsides that I found with the Gen 1 Tethrd One Sticks was, depending on the bark of the tree, if you would seat this onto a tree and you'd go to pull it down or step into it, for whatever reason, there were certain barks that would make this guy squeak. And you know how us hunters are, even a small squeak is enough to put us on edge, especially if you're hunting close to bedding and all of that. And I noticed that even in the winter. I don't know if the coldness magnified that or not, but I did notice that there were certain barks that were prone to squeaking. And so one thing they have taken note of is that, and they have done their best to eliminate that squeak. And they've done 2 things here. The first thing they did was they pre-sanded the back of the standoffs. You can see that right here in the different coloration right on all the teeth. They pre-sanded that to help eliminate squeak. And then they also tapered the teeth. Now, this is something that the Beast sticks, Dan Infault had to do with the Beast sticks, was tapered a teeth because his standoffs were actually bending. But I think with the tapered teeth and the pre-sanding, that is going to go a long way in eliminating squeak on the tree. And of course, after I'm done using these sticks, I am going to do a postseason review. That is wrong. I will correct it in the postseason review, but I can see just by reason of thinking that is going to go a long way. The beveled standoff and then also the pre-sanded standoff. The last difference you'll notice between Gen 1 and Gen 2 is found in the end of the titanium tubing. With the Tethrd One Stick, the Generation 1, you will see that you can look pretty much right through that tubing, but with the Gen 2, Tethrd has added a plug to the top and to the bottom of this titanium tubing, and that is designed to help reduce the step wobble that you'll get. By nature of design, the One Sticks, I would say, are prone to step wobble. When you have aluminum sticks, essentially you have a bolt and a nut that goes through the step, the standoff, and the aluminum post, and you can crank that thing down as tight as you would like. Even with some of the high-end ultra light sticks that I've had, even cranking it down to specs, I would still get some step wobble. But with the Tethrd One Sticks, you don't have a nut and a bolt that holds the step and the standoff to the post. Basically, you have the roll pin here, which is your weight bearing. This is where you get your safety from. And with the Gen 1 stick, they experimented, or they used a chemical welding, a bonding, it's a glue. And basically they would put that glue on and then seat the step and the standoff onto the post. And that glue was supposed to help keep the step from wobbling. And if you followed along at all, you know that glue option that has failed. I have a few steps on my Gen 1 right here that I recently found out have failed. I didn't even notice it during the season, but I found out when I was doing my review on the GC1. I grabbed the step and I was like, man, it felt like that kind of moved. And I think the reason I didn't notice it is because when you stand onto the One Stick, this titanium tubing, it actually has a little bit of flex. I've known that going into it, and I think with the flex of the tubing, I just didn't notice it, that my footstep was moving at all. So I think that's what happened there. It was kind of surprising that I found out that, you know, that glue had failed and there was a little bit of wobble. And again, I think it's because when you step on it, you have a little bit of flex in that titanium tubing. But long story short, there was nothing after that glue would fail. There was nothing that would, you know, help with the step wobble. And so with the Gen 2, they've taken this plug, and it's a little bit thicker diameter than the titanium tube, and they've pressed that into the top and the bottom of the One Stick to help reduce, you know, the tolerance of slipping the step standoff unit over top of the titanium tube. I do know with like that top step, and I think the rest of these steps, with hand, I cannot move that. With the bottom of this step, there is a little bit of play that I can feel. And if I was able to zoom in, I would show you that. But there's just a little bit of play. And so there's still some potential for step wobble, but here's how I remedy that in my own head, is with an aluminum post and a separate step that would be attached to the aluminum post, and then a separate standoff, and then a bolt holding them together. If your step is wobbling, there's only surface area where it connects to the aluminum post. When you look at this design here, the standoff and the step being one that's slipped over top of the titanium tubing, you have a 360-degree surface area that's about 1 inch deep that is contacting the titanium tube. And so it's not like it's held on and there's only one place of contact that could wear a lot. I just don't see this style, again, 360-degree surface area, about 1 inch deep. I don't see that wearing out, you know, anytime soon. Even if the plugs are not doing what they are supposed to, for the most part, all of them are. There is a little wobble on this one, but from a DIY perspective, it's an easy remedy. All you'd have to do if you wanted to, I'm not going to do it, I don't feel the need to do it, but you could come in right here from a side profile, drill a little hole, and then just put a screw in there that would hold that step from sliding up and down. So it's an easy remedy. Again, it's not worth my time and effort for me personally. I I really don't care, because I think, again, by nature of this design, 360 surface area, 1 inch deep, I'm not going to have to worry about, you know, wearing out any parts. So that is the last big difference that you will notice between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. Last year, when I did an in-depth review of the Tethrd One Stick, I held this stick up against a list of 5 criteria. And one of the criteria for how well I like this stick was the noise. I do not like noise. And Tethrd, when they brought the stick out, they actually did a video podcast where they said these are noisy sticks. And so I wanted to test that myself. And so this is what I have found, and I'm not going to rehash everything I've already talked about in that other video, but this is what I have found. Titanium against titanium is actually quieter than the B-Sticks aluminum post against aluminum post. And if you want to see that audio check, go back to that video and you can find that. But here's, I'll give you a little bit of it right now. Here's titanium on titanium. Here's aluminum on aluminum. Oops. Titanium against titanium, actually, it's a different noise, but it's a dollar noise. And so, of course, I have a wireless mic on. I'm not sure how good that will pick that noise up. I'm making a bunch of noise. But titanium on titanium is not nearly as loud as aluminum on aluminum. You'll notice here, all of my Gen 1 sticks I have wrapped in stealth stripping. I'll try to do another sound check. Considerably quieter with the stealth stripping. Now, Lou over at Stealth Strips, he is not selling the one stick kit. He is making them, giving them over to Tethrd, and Tethrd is selling them. So you can get on Tethrd's website and you can find the stealth strip for the one sticks. I got some right here, pile of them to stealth strip these sticks. But again, there's a considerable difference, And I even tried to stealth strip the standoffs. Any place that I would have aluminum on aluminum contact, I tried to quiet that. And so stealth strips, as always, you guys know here on this channel, I'm a big fan of that. It works. It's just not a gimmick. It actually is a product that works. It quiets down gear considerably. And so noise was one criteria. Another criteria was weight. Even with the updated changes, I weighed this stick and it came in at 1.04 pounds. There's not another stick on the market that can compare to the Tethrd One Stick. I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I'm just simply saying that because that's the truth. As soon as another company comes out with a 1 pound stick, guess who's reviewing it? Guess who's going to have it here and putting it through the paces? That will be this guy right here. But as of now, nobody can touch the weight of the Tethrd One Stick. Another thing was packability and functionality. When you look at these sticks and how well they pack, how well they function, the ease of use of stacking, how quiet they are, the Dynaloc Tab and how well you use that, to me, that's what makes this stick next level. It's easy to use, it's functional, it's feature packed, and I really, really like that about the One Sticks. The price point has changed from the Gen 1 sticks. Gen 1 sticks, they were $328 for 3 of them. And when you broke that down individually, compared it to the B sticks, the EWO sticks, Shakar sticks, you would find that when you added into account the premium rope offering, that it was right on par, because all those other sticks come with the cam buckle strap and nobody uses them that I know of. All of those criteria is what I judged the One Stick by last year. There's so many features packed into the Tethrd One Stick. There's not a stick as light. The glow tabs, the rope containment options, the stacking pins, which I really, really like, the premium rope option, the Dynaloc Tab, all of that coming together is why I personally feel like in 2022, the Gen 2 Tethrd One Stick is the stick to beat. Today is September 27th. I started this review sometime back in early August when I initially got these sticks. Just a few days prior to me releasing this review and my thoughts on the Gen 2 Tethrd One Sticks, Tethrd offered a voluntary recall. I decided I wasn't going to release this video until I got these sticks back and I was able to add this section of the video, my thoughts on the recall. There's a general rule of thumb that I try to live my life by. That is this, that if there's a problem, I'm going to go straight to the source and I'm going to try to get the facts, not go elsewhere, third-party information, all of that. Even if somebody tells me something, I'm still going to go to the source. And so that's exactly what I did in regards to the recall, and also in regards to potential step wobble. I picked up the phone, I talked with Ernie. He was gracious enough that gave me about 30 minutes of his day, and we were able to talk through some of the things, help me to get understanding on the situation. And to be honest with you, at this point in time, I have zero concern about the safety of these steps, especially after they tested them. You have to keep in mind also that I ran the Gen 1 Tethrd One Sticks all last year, and you did not hear about one of the steps breaking on the Gen 1 Tethrd One Sticks. There was a breakdown in the process in the factory where they're built, and it caused some problems. They nipped it in the bud. They did a voluntary recall. They tested all the steps. If you have these green tags on your steps, these steps are safe and they have been tested. Now, let me say this. If you personally was agitated with the process, or something happened, or you had a different experience than me, I am not trying to minimize your experience. You are a customer, you pay money, and the experience that you personally have will make or break or cause a distaste to a company or a taste for a company. So in all of this, I'm not trying to minimize anybody's experience that they personally had. I give people respect. Hopefully the same comes back. This is just my experience, my opinion, and what I've done to try to understand this recall. Again, there wasn't one Gen 1 Tethrd One Stick step that broke. So that leads me to believe that what Tethrd is telling me in the process of how a few of the steps were breaking is true. And so again, I don't have any concern about the safety of these sticks. Matter of fact, I'm using them along with my Gen 1 Tethrd One Sticks. To wrap up my thoughts in regards to the recall, I gained respect for Tethrd. I have no problem with these sticks, and I'm glad that they did that. It lets me know that moving forward, if they see that there's a problem with one of their products, they're going to make it right. And so to me, that gave me confidence in Tethrd as a company. To conclude this video and give you my final thoughts on the Gen 2 Tethrd One Stick post-recall, I still think these are the stick to beat. I had a bunch of guys over here and we were trying out new gear, a bunch of tree stands, a bunch of sticks, all of that stuff. And they brought over their Lone Wolf custom gear sticks, they brought over their Beast sticks. And when I think about leaving the Tethrd One Stick and going back to those sticks, I just can't do it. There are too many features that are packed into this Tethrd One Stick for me just to drop it and go back. I can do whatever I want with the money that I have. I'm just not going to do it. The biggest con that I have to navigate with this would be the potential for step wobble. Again, I already mentioned that I could easily, with a DIY remedy, fix that if I wanted to. I'm not even going to bother with it because it's that minimal. At this point in time, I'm not worried about it. I just cannot see myself going back to the other stick offerings that are on the market. I've had the majority of them. And again, with these features packed into this stick, I'm just not going back. I will deal with the potential for step wobble. I'll deal with the step wobble. I'm just not going back. I don't know what else to say. As soon as another company offers a 1-pound stick, I'm going to have them in-house, and I'm going to give them a fair shake. My suggestion to Tethrd would be this: find a way to put a roll pin in a horizontal way through the step and the stick. It doesn't have to be load bearing, but enough just to stop that step from wobbling. Problem solved. Hands down the best stick on the market. If Tethrd can figure out a way not to compromise with any type of step wobble, there is no question that these are the premium and the best stick out there. With the step wobble, some people aren't going to like that, and that is totally cool. That is your prerogative, that's your opinion, and I respect that. But for me, I don't know where to go. I'm not going back to an aluminum build stick after I ran the Tethrd One Sticks all last year. That is my final thoughts. If there's any questions, something I did not cover, any questions you have, drop them in the comment section below. And until next time, good luck to you.